The 60s were the 60s, no matter how you cut it.
Sock it to me?
That was a turning point in American history. I can remember coming out of the halcyon days of quiet and peacefulness and the Eisenhower years and dramatically into the 60s.
I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps rolling on down to San Antonio.
It was a time here in San Antonio when people were preparing, trying to promote and prepare for Hemisphere 68.
There was, of course, the Vietnam conflict. So you have to understand that the pressure of being drafted was tremendous, and because you knew if you got an F in something and you didn't have it that semester, you'd be gone, and that way you would see people gone. So that scared you even more.
We had a serious ROTC program here at the time, and so most of us, it was mandatory our first 2 years here, and most of us continued on.
When I came to St. Mary's, I knew it was Marianist, and I knew what the Marianists were. I really have great respect for them.
That Marianist strong sense of humility and commitment to the community carries through culturally into the education that students receive here.
Once I saw Brothers of Mary, from the rest of my life, I said, this is the people I want to be like. This is the people I want to emulate. These are the people who I want to be around, because they just were inspiring.
Their commitment to Mary, their commitment to education and to community service is the same today as it ever was.
Everybody always harkens back to a couple educators, and you can always see the smiles on their face, and the reason is, it's not just because they liked them, it's because deep down they know the difference they made in their life.
Schnepp, Brother Schnepp, would come into the classroom. He was from Germany. He was well educated and had the equivalent of PhD to me in degrees in math. He would walk in, pick up a piece of chalk, and start writing on the board for the whole period with no notes, nothing else. And I'm sitting there thinking, I can barely understand all this, and he was fantastic.
My big favorite was Brother Ham, who was my physics professor. Really motivated me to stay in physics because he made it interesting and to a guy like me, intelligible.
People tell me to this day, like, wow, you studied under Brother Ham, the famous physicist, and these are people in NASA in there. He knows great men because they knew this humble priest who worked on physics in the back lab.
The campus at that time was really small in terms of facilities, and the age of the facilities was pretty significant. For business courses, we were using buildings that had been brought here that were World War II era that came from the military bases. We had alumni gym. It was quite different. The baseball field had been built by the Keefe family many years before.
What's nice is the camaraderie, the closeness, the community of St. Mary's has really not changed in my judgment. If anything, it's gotten stronger. A lot of what makes St. Mary's is not the buildings, it's the community itself, the student body as well as the faculty.
Played baseball here at St. Mary's. It was a challenge for me because I was a walk-on. I walked on and I didn't walk off for 4 years. We played everybody home and home except the University of Texas, who wouldn't play us except up in Austin. So my senior year, we played a great game up there in May of 1967. And for the first time in St. Mary's history, we beat the Longhorns. It was a great day.
A lot of us still remember the few females walking into the sub and everybody saying, "What's that?"
that was real change. And the university, I could see, was trying to adapt to that change because not everything was oriented towards women at that time.
You know, Mickey Shop was here. He was one of my good friends back then. We were in competing fraternities.
I was a Rho Beta, still am. I hate to say I was. The Tau Deltas, the Sigmas, the Barons, the Rho Chis, the GDIs, everybody, it was very competitive here in terms of intramural sports. Rho Beta we considered ourselves a service organization, and we represented the university in the River Parade, in the Rodeo Parade. We made visits at Easter each year to the Children's Hospital and at Christmas to the Children's Hospital. You have good fun when you're making children who are in the hospital smile a little bit.
I can remember some of the fraternity floats for homecoming and other things that were probably today would be embarrassingly funny.
The Rodeo Parade was one of the favorites because we would have a float that was a flatbed trailer. We'd load it with bales of hay, and we'd get a keg of Lone Star in between the bales of hay. And the JCs and every other civic organization in town that was participating in the parade wanted to be as close to us as they could get because they knew that we always had the appropriate refreshment. We often visited either Pearl Brewery in the afternoon on Friday before they shut down their hospitality room, or Lone Star Brewery, and sometimes each of them. So.
Fun at St. Mary's in the 60s. It was the music first.
We did go Western dancing though, quite regularly with our girlfriends. We listened to Ray Price, George Jones, and all of their companions.
A little bitty teeny weeny thing they call a love bug.
We would go to Quehee. We would go to Lavernia, St. Hedwig. We went to Green. So we tried to spread ourselves around so that we didn't get a reputation at just one spot. Oh no, it's those St. Mary's boys. That's what we did to have fun.
Have me a pretty good style.
Late in the spring, SMU called my mother. And she said, he just offered you a fellowship and that's where you're going. So that's the one time I obeyed my mother. It was at that time that I understood why St. Mary's was so good. I'd ask people in statistics where they came from. And by and far, the very best students always came from small colleges that really concentrated on the whole person, a liberal arts college. So that's where I realized this is liberal arts. I can do the math easy, but it's the other pieces that you have to be very successful.
What's changed the most is we're much more national and international than we were when I was at St. Mary's.
You graduate from here with that sense of that commitment to making a difference in the world around you.
That's why I still work for St. Mary's in volunteerism and help them out as much as I can. And why a lot of the people I went to school with do too.
I try to stay as active and as close to the students as I can. I'm sort of on the student development committee. And I think one of the most important things, obviously, that we do is try and understand, where our students are, what their needs are, and how we can serve them better.
We have to build the future, and we have to create these, as they say, little cells of people who will carry the Marianist beliefs forward.
It's time at our stage of life, at our ages, to step up and define that moment and to define what St. Mary's is going to be on a going forward basis.
Delighted to have been in that class. It was a great class, a class of achievement. You had stars in all kind of fields and areas, and I hope they all are there, and if not, I hope they continue to support St. Mary's, because that's how people get to be how they are and have those opportunities.
There's a niche that St. Mary's fills that's aimed at what the world needs today, which is people committed to making a difference in the world, making it better. I like where we're going.